I imagine that was their thinking. There's lots of different ways to think about things, though.
I'm not getting it anyway, so that doesn't change anything for me.
But don't live to 80 then.
I
No,
say
you mean
that
you-
was 80 Canadian is like 72 US.
Oh,
Because of your health.
first time I hear that theory, really. Say it to me, fine. Yeah.
Are you deciding not to have it at all, or you mean you're just, it seems so far out on the future?
I am, it's like, I'm being really honest here. All my life, I've been against vaccines, so that's not going to change for this one. It's one of my values, one of my core values, but I respect everyone who gets it, and I even help my own parents. And so it's just a personal choice that I'm not getting it.
There are a lot of
So-
doctors and healthcare workers who aren't getting it.
Well, my friend, I have a doctor friend, and she's totally against it, so it's not like I want to do like her, but I kind of trust her.
Good morning, Kristen. It's good to see you.
Morning, Kristen.
Good morning, Lynn. Sue.
Good to see Norma. Good to see Chris. Good to see Lauren. All kinds of people here this morning. Great.
Yes. Morning, Norma.
Good morning. And contrary to what some say, I've gotten both of mine with the Pfizer.
That's what we have.
Same here.
May you live happily ever after.
I get my Moderna tomorrow.
You're number one or you're number two?
Number 2.
They got those ladies.
But he's still young.
Kristen, are you in Chicago?
Girls.
Yes, I'm still in Chicago for one more week.
Oh,
And then, so since I'm working from home and my lease is up on my apartment, I figured I might as well move back to Indiana for a while because my office doesn't plan on opening for another 6 or 7 months. So rather than just sit up here in an apartment by myself, I'm gonna move back and move in with my mom.
oh,
Nice.
Yeah, should be good, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, it'll be good for both of you.
I hope so.
And the rest of us, maybe we'll see you more often.
Yeah.
We like that.
Kristen, Nancy says she looks forward to having you helping her garden.
Absolutely. I'll be over, Nancy.
Yeah,
It'll be more you gardening and her sitting watching you.
I can do that. I take direction well, I think.
Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Good morning, Dave. Canada to Florida.
I jumped the gun and got
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Oh, pretty.
Oh, pretty.
some pansies. Got to take them in at night, but
What are these called? Pansies?
pansies, yeah.
I heard candies. I was like, thought that
But they're pretty, and
very.
they remind you of what's coming.
Oh,
Pansies are for remembrance
oh.
oh,
in the
interesting.
language of flowers, right?
Here we call them pensées, which means thoughts. Thoughts.
Well, I think they can take a little bit of frost. That's why I like them.
Yeah, one said they'd be across. Jay's all across from me.
You can get them in March and you can get them in September. They don't do so well in August and July.
I got some colorful things yesterday, but they weren't flowers. They were boxes of Girl Scout cookies. The Girl Scouts are selling now, and so you get the purple boxes, and it's Samoas. Orange boxes are Do-si-dos.
Oh, that's good to know.
I often heard about that, but never saw like Girl Scout cookies, but I keep reading about it in books and everything. We don't get them here. Oh.
I can show you the 12 boxes on my table.
Yeah, and they're pretty expensive now, aren't they?
$5 each, but you know, that's investment in the future. I made all those little girls say their scout oath before I bought cookies.
Did
I
you read
remember-
about that
course you
troop
did.
in New York City that are homeless Girl Scouts?
No.
I haven't.
There's like a Girl
Mm-mm.
Scout troop from the homeless shelters in I think the Bronx, and they were selling Girl Scout cookies, and man, they really hit it out of the park. Everybody from across the nation is ordering from them.
Great.
If
Well,
I find this story, I'll send.
yeah, please send us the story. Are there joys or sorrows to share before we begin worship today?
It's 9:30.
I was joyful yesterday. I went outside several times in the afternoon, and each time I could hear the sandhill cranes, and it would take me a while to find them because they fly so high and the sky was so blue, and the contrast, and lots and lots and lots of cranes migrating north. That was kind of a joy, and the sorrow was I also found some dandelions.
Yeah, I could hear them, but I never found them.
Yeah.
I'm the worship leader today, so if we'd all mute ourselves and center into silence, I will speak out the silence as led. I'm generally not thought of as being very good with numbers. Words I like a lot, but as my math scores in junior high and high school will show, I was kind of abysmal at mathematics, higher math. The only way I passed Algebra 1 was my mother, as a young woman, was a professional dancer, and her partner, Dick Weber, turned out to be my math teacher, and he liked my mom. So he said if I turned in my homework, he'd pass me. And he did. I always seemed to get it right after the lesson or the test was over. But which made it all the more amazing in some ways that I went on to be an executive director for United Ways and had to learn general accounting principles for not-for-profits, and then work at the Center for Congregation and manage $1 million budgets and millions of dollars in investments. But as I told my dad, he goes, well, you're the kid who barely passed math. How'd you do that? And I said, because that's not real money. It's just like playing Monopoly, sort of thing. But I've been thinking a lot about numbers the last few days. I belong to a little writing group of about 12 people that meets in person once a year for a retreat. But throughout the year, we share writing with each other and life stories, what's going on. And the other day, a fellow named Seth Haynes, who's in the group, sent a little piece of writing on a novel he's working on. And there was a section that I read that reminded me of numbers, because a person asked the same question 3 times to his prospective son-in-law. Do you love her? And does it 3 times in a row and phrases it slightly differently. And as I thought, and then we began an exchange, and it's a faith writers group. And Seth said, well, you know, there are lots of 3s in the Bible. Lots of 3s. And I started thinking about that. And, you know, there are. You think the 3 fathers of the Jewish faith are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. One of my favorite stories as a kid was of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Noah had 3 sons. Job had 3 daughters. There were the 3 gifts of the Magi. And there are lots of other 3s in the Bible as well, if you want to look them up. And it's kind of fun to do so. But it's also used as a literary device when something's important. In the story of Balaam's donkey, he beats his donkey 3 times, and then the donkey speaks to him. And then Balaam goes on to bless the person he's supposed to bless 3 times. Jesus goes to pray in the Garden of Gethsemane 3 times in Matthew 26. And of course, one of the most famous in Luke 22. And they seized Jesus and led him away, bringing him into the high priest's house. And Peter was following at a distance. And when they kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down, Peter sat down with them. Then a servant girl, seeing him as he sat in the light and looking closely at him, said, this man also was with him. But he denied it, saying, woman, I do not know him. And a little later, someone else saw him and said, you also are one of them. But Peter said, man, I am not. And after an interval of about an hour, still another insisted, saying, certainly this man was also with him, for he too is a Galilean. But Peter said, man, I don't know what you're talking about. And immediately, while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. And then one of my favorites is later in John, and the New International Version titles this section, Jesus Reinstates Peter. And this is after the resurrection. And Jesus, when they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said, that you know that I do. And Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus said, take care of my sheep. And the third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? And he said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep. Well, I looked. Numbers mean a lot in the Bible. Number 7 has meaning. The number 3 has meaning. But in Hebrew, the number 3 is shilos or shalosha, and it means harmony, new life, completeness. Harmony, new life, and completeness. And then I thought of another trio in the Bible, a construct, a literary construct. And that's at the end of 1 Corinthians 13. And we tend to focus on the one word. But Paul says, and now these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. And then, of course, he goes on to say, the greatest of these is love. And we often focus on that one because the words immediately preceding in that chapter are a long list of what love is and what love is not. But we have to read that whole section in context because it goes back before just the 13th chapter and talking about faith and hope. Today, as has been on the news, there's been a lot of markings about the 1 year of the pandemic. And that a year ago, we weren't too sure, but it quickly became clear, and we were entering a new time. And there were signs of life not being harmonious or having new life in completeness. And yet, in the midst of the pandemic, there have been opportunities for those 3 things, for the 3. And especially, it seems to me that this is a time for people of faith to be exemplars of faith, hope, and love. To keep the faith. It used to be a big saying when I was in high school and college, keep the faith. But also to hope, knowing that our hope is in that which is eternal, not that which is transient, which the times we live in often are. Everything changes, but the love of God, the faithfulness of God lasts forever. And finally, to be people of love, spreading love, living that love, and showing it to a world that much needs it. George Fox has a statement that I've always reflected on and spoke to my condition, especially in times when I was down, but seems especially true in a time of pandemic. He said, I saw there was an ocean of darkness and death. And it certainly seems that we can look out over the world and see an ocean of darkness and death. But he continues, but I saw an infinite ocean of light and love, which flowed over the ocean of darkness. And in that, also I saw the infinite love of God. Shilos, harmony, new life, completeness. And now these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. As we come to the close of our time together in semi-program worship, are there any thoughts that friends would like to share before we say goodbye?
Just hope that we all have a wonderful day and a beautiful spring is on the way.
Good to see everybody again. Welcome home.
Always a
Christy.
pleasure to spend this time together.
Take care, friends, and stay safe. And hopefully we'll see everybody next week, including even Kristen. Just put a little guild on her.
No kidding.
That's not nice.
Whenever you come, you're very welcome.
Yes, Kristen. Okay. Take care.
Sylvia, say hi to people at Valley Mills.